Welcome to another exciting edition of At the Library. I'm your host, Gabe Hodges. This month's episode will focus on the Warren Public Library's Bookmobile. You'll find out what the Bookmobile is, what it does, where it goes, and a lot more. I'll be back later when I visit the Bookmobile at one of its numerous stops. But for now, let's go back to the WSCN studio where Joseph Johns is with Director of Mobile Services, Steve Savez.
Thanks, Gabe, and welcome, Steve. Good to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Steve is the head of the mobile services for the library, and, well, what is that?
The mobile services is part of the library that actually gets out of the building and goes to visit people all over Trumbull County. Since we're the county district library, we're responsible for serving every place that doesn't already have its own library. We have 5 branches, but we also have the Bookmobile and Homebound service, which cover the rest of the county. The Bookmobile is pretty much just like a roving branch library. It has different stops on a regular schedule, goes all over Trumbull County.
All right, now when was this first started, the Bookmobile?
Bookmobile service in Trumbull County goes back to 1938. It was initiated with some money from the government. I think it was. I want to say it was WPA money, but I'm not exactly sure about that. But in the 30s, during the Depression, was when it started, and it actually at that time went out to schools as well as community stops like we do now, and it was part of all over Ohio. Different counties were basically around that time starting their Bookmobile service.
Okay, now roughly how big is a Bookmobile?
Well, it's the Bookmobile that we have now is a 30-foot Bluebird school bus shell. They take everything out of the inside and they put shelving in there and desks for checking out, and it holds about 3,000 items. It's not just books. So when I say items, we're talking about videos, books on tape, music cassettes, music CDs, video games, comic books, magazines.
Wow.
Just about everything that a branch of the library would have, we have on the Bookmobile. We just have them in smaller quantities.
Okay. Now imagine with that many items that you would have an awful lot that you check out during a year. You have any idea how much you do?
As a matter of fact, I have an exact total for last year's circ. On the Bookmobile, we checked out 94,728 items in 1999.
Wow.
And that's about 10% of the circulation for the entire library system, which includes the main library and our 5 branches, Bookmobile and Homebound service.
Okay, now roughly about how many stops does the Bookmobile make?
We make about 50 stops around Trumbull County. We have all different kinds of stops. There's what we call community stops, which is kind of how Bookmobile service started out, with stops to more rural communities that didn't have their own library. But now we also do stops at like senior centers and senior complexes, preschools. We also go to a lot of Amish homes up in the northwestern part of the county. And so that variety has kind of grown up over the years. Like I said, at one time we did a lot of school stops. At one time the library had 3 Bookmobiles.
Wow.
And almost all of the schools in Trumbull County got Bookmobile service. In fact, if you talk to older people and ask them about the Bookmobile, they'll probably tell you that, oh yeah, I remember the Bookmobile came to my school. That changed back in the 60s or the early 70s when school funding for libraries became more readily available, and most of the schools got libraries at that time.
All right. Now, say there's somebody out there who's watching this program and they don't have a stop that's accessible to them. Is there anything that they can do about that?
Well, the first step would be call me at the Warren Public Library. Can I give my phone number?
Sure, go ahead.
The library is 330, don't forget 330-399-8807, and I'm at extension 119.
Okay.
So if they call that number, they'll get me, I'll pick up, or they'll get my voicemail if I'm not sitting there. And then what they do is just let me know where they live, where they think the bookmobile could park. I just have a lot of sort of logistical questions that I would ask them. What's the population? And then we would try, if possible, to work that stop into the bookmobile schedule.
Okay.
The bookmobile schedule is it rotates every 2 weeks. So we have week 1, week 2, and then we go back to week 1, and we go Monday through Friday.
Okay.
And usually for the community stops, they're more in the late afternoon and evening, so that it's after the time when kids get home from school.
Okay.
And but then that leaves the earlier times of day for preschools, daycare, senior centers, where it doesn't matter whether the kids are in school or not.
Okay. Now, obviously, with the bookmobile, you need a staff. Roughly how many people do you have staffing those?
Well, when the bookmobile is out, there are 2 staff members on it.
Okay.
That would be the driver and one what we call library specialist.
Okay.
They don't have a library degree, but they may have some college or high school degrees. There's all kinds of educational levels, but they have to be people that are good with working with people and customers, and they have to be really knowledgeable about the books in the collection and the types of popular reading materials that people ask for.
Okay.
But in the department there are 9 people altogether.
All right.
There are 4 of the librarians. There's 1 driver, and then we have a page that shelves books, and 1 person that does nothing but stay in the office and do a lot of clerical work, cataloging and processing of applications on the computer, like that. And and then me.
Okay. So how do they prepare for a week of the bookmobile service?
Well, each of the library specialists that are on the bookmobile, they have a pretty good idea. The bookmobile is a lot more, I don't want to diss the other libraries, but
it's okay, go ahead.
it's a lot more personal than probably the kind of service you would be used to when you come into the library. Not that they're not really helpful, but they just get so many customers at the library. They can't know everybody. They can't know whatever. To check out, because you can only carry a limited amount. If you don't have the right stuff, well, then those people are going to go away with their needs unfulfilled. So they have the librarians or the specialists that are on there. Let's just call them librarians. It's so much easier for me. I get confused with all these job titles. But the librarians that are on the bookmobile, they have to have a really good idea each day, and all the stops are different. All the days are different. They have to plan ahead, select materials to stock the shelves. They also place holds for people that have made requests, and they do a lot of preparation, a lot more than at a branch or at the main library, where for the most part people, especially if they're coming in for leisure reading or fiction, they're just going to go to the shelves and pick out their own books. Okay.
Well, after all that, what do you need? Is it just a library card like you normally would do at the library to check out a book?
Yeah, like I said, it's just like a branch of the library. You can treat it just like a branch. You come on with your library card. The bookmobile is connected to our mainframe computer at the main library via a cellular modem. We dial it up. They have on the computer at any of our stationary libraries.
Okay.
And off you go.
Great. Well, I realize you were a little bit under the weather today, but I do thank you for coming in. And now we're going to take it to Gabe on location. So, Gabe, take it away.
Thanks, Joe. I'm here at the North River Commons, where the bookmobile is currently stationed. If you're not familiar with what the bookmobile is basically a library on wheels, hence the name bookmobile. The bookmobile travels to out-of-the-way places such as West Farmington and Bloomfield all over Trumbull County. It lets people check out books just as if they're at a regular library. I'm here with Bob Horniak, who is the substitute bus driver for the bookmobile. Hi, Bob. I understand that you've been doing bookmobile driving for a long time. How long have you been doing this?
About 14 years substituting and full-time.
And how did you, so you're a full-time substitute, and how did you get started into driving the bookmobile?
After I retired, I didn't have anything else to do, so I decided to drive a bookmobile.
Okay, so it's basically for a hobby.
For something to do, yes.
To keep you busy? Okay. And what do you think the best part of your job is?
Seeing all the countryside and all the people and kids that come out on the bookmobile, and those that really appreciate reading and furthering their knowledge by coming out on the bookmobile.
And how important do you think the bookmobile is?
Very important, because there are rural areas that are quite a distance from a regular library, and we try to serve a lot of those areas, remote areas.
Well, thank you, Bob. I'm now joined by Patty Brobst, who is the bookmobile librarian. Hi, Patty.
Hi.
Why do you think being the librarian for the bookmobile is necessarily funner or not funner than working at a branch?
Well, we really enjoy going out on the bookmobile. You get to meet a lot of different people. You get to know your patrons very well on the bookmobile. You generally get the same people that come every 2 weeks. You learn what they like to read, and when you see a new book downtown that's a particular favorite of theirs, it's fun to be able to take that out to them and know that you've really supplied them with something that they wanted. And it's really nice.
Okay, and how many people come out to check books out from the bookmobile every day?
That varies widely depending on the type of stop you've come to. The place we are today is a retirement apartment complex, and we don't have a great deal of people here. Maybe 3 or 4 people come out each time. We gain a few. On a given stop there, you might get 17, 18 people all on here at once. And they take out multiple books. They take out huge numbers of books.
Is there a certain time of year that gets more, does the Christmas season get more books usually than other types of seasons?
Actually, I think Christmas maybe we check out a few less books because everybody's busy with their holiday preparations, and everybody gets books for Christmas, and so you often don't check out as many at that time. Again, in the Amish communities, summer is a big time because the kids are out of school, and of course they don't have television, so in order to amuse themselves, they do a lot of reading.
Well, thank you, Patty. The bookmobile has been in service around Trumbull County since 1938, and it has taken on many looks. We're going to end the show with a look back on how the bookmobile has changed. I'm Gabe Hodges, and I'll see you next month at the library.